Hey everyone, Megan O'Leary, joined by one of the stars of Saturday night's main event, Dan Henderson. We are in Manchester, England for UFC 204, and we were just talking off camera about sleep schedules because this is an interesting fight week. The fact that your fight will be in the very early hours of the morning. I know you just got here, but how are you planning on making sure that you're wide awake when you need to fight?
You know, I'm just trying to stay on California time. You know, the pay-per-views at the same time there live. Starts at 7 p.m. and I'll probably be fighting at 9 p.m. California time, and got trained this morning at 4:30 in the morning because I'll probably be fighting around 5. So that's what I'm going to try and do for the next 2 or 3 days, and then just stay on that sleep schedule as well. I slept all day. I slept 7 or 8 hours, so I feel good right now.
You won the fight when you two fought in 2009. This is a rematch. Everyone knows how the first one ended with that epic punch.
That's it! He's down! And it is all over! Dan Henderson has knocked out Michael Bisping!
How do you feel like you've evolved, and how do you feel like he has evolved?
I think both of us have improved in all aspects, not just one. He's obviously improved to be able to become champion. Just know that I was better then and I'm better now.
Even though that was 7 years in the past, do you feel like your body feels the same? Does it feel more worn down? Do you feel like you take care of your body better now than you maybe did earlier on?
I know I take a little better care of my body now. Better diet, you know, and just smarter in my training. But I do feel my age a little bit, but not too bad. I'm still capable of doing everything I need to do. I think I just make up for it by making sure that I spend all my extra time recovering from practice rather than doing everything else I need to do. You know, which is one reason why I think this will be my last fight.
Now, you told me that at UFC 199. You said, I think this might be my last fight. And then did you watch Michael win the belt and say, well, actually, I think there's still one more? Or what was the deciding factor?
Well, when they call you up and say, hey, we want you to fight Michael for the title, I can't turn that down as my last fight. And going into that fight with Lombard in UFC 199, I wasn't sure, I wasn't positive that was my last fight, but I was ready for it if it was. This is, I guess, the best way for me to do that, and you know, so I decided one more fight will be okay.
Are you sure it's just one?
Yep.
No matter what the outcome is?
Win or lose, this is my last one.
So you could potentially win the belts and retire in the same night and know that, okay, now they're gonna have to figure something out for the middleweight belt?
Basically, I cut in line and I'm cutting right back out. So the rest of the guys that wanted that title shot that were ahead of me in line, they can have Michael Bisping when I'm done with them.
You're fighting for the only belt that you don't have. Is this kind of a moment where you can see your career going full circle?
I guess you can call it that. I mean, it's you know, obviously a sport I've been in a long time, and yes, have won a few belts and had one goal left that I didn't achieve yet, and that was that UFC belt. And to have this opportunity right now for the last fight of my career is a blessing. And then I think, you know, I've done everything in training camp to prepare and make sure I don't waste that opportunity.
How do you get it done against Michael Bisping?
I don't really care as long as I get it done. You know, I think the biggest thing is just making sure that I'm winning every round and not letting them score points and run around. And you know, I think if he engages with me and stands there and bangs a little bit, I'll come out on top every exchange.
You obviously are no stranger to fighting in other countries. Do you feel like you've had to adjust like this before, or is this kind of a new thing?
Yeah, I've had this to fight at maybe 3 in the morning before, but usually they don't think ahead and schedule the media stuff later in the afternoon. So it was a struggle, and that was one of my concerns coming into this. You know, and I let them know that, you know, try and schedule the media stuff in the afternoon, and they did, and you know, I'm able to get a good night's sleep that way.
Like I said, you're not a stranger to fighting in other countries, nor are you a stranger to fighting in enemy territory. Crowd has no effect, right?
It helps a little bit, but it doesn't hurt you. It probably gets me to go a little harder when they're booing for me, but whatever.
You look at where the sport is, what exactly do you feel? Because now it's in New York City and, you know, there are celebrity investors and you were a part of it when I'm sure people looked at you like you had two heads when you told them what you did for a living.
It's definitely become a mainstream sport. And, you know, in my mind, I knew that it always would. It was just a matter of getting people to watch it, and it's an exciting sport. As soon as you watch it, most people are hooked.
Do you feel like coming from the wrestling community, it gives you satisfaction knowing that there's another path for great wrestlers?
Absolutely. I think from the get-go, you know, I was doing both, competing in wrestling still, trying to make my third Olympic team when I started fighting, and it gives wrestlers an opportunity to make some money to come into MMA and see how they do. There was no coaches for me when I did it, and some of the learning curve was a little slower back then.
Do you feel like that's a place you would get fulfillment, coaching these up-and-comers?
Yeah, absolutely. I do it now. I coach at my gym along with my coaches and enjoy doing that, and I'm sure I'll focus more on that when I'm done fighting.
What are your focuses in training camp? It's not like you are new to the sport and you still have all these tools to sharpen. Is it more focused on sparring? Is it more focused on cardio? What are keys for you when you know you signed for a bout?
Mostly just making sure my cardio's there and timing. You could be a little rusty and timing's off and nothing works.
How much of a different kind of game plan do you have when you know you're fighting for 5 rounds against a guy who does have really good cardio?
I don't know if it changes the game plan a lot. You know, it's mostly just making sure that I don't go out and use up all my energy the first 3 rounds and have nothing left. But it all depends on the pace of the fight, and the other guy's doing the same thing you are. So, you know, if I'm getting tired, I'm sure he'll be getting tired too. So I think the biggest thing is just knowing that I'm in shape to go 5 rounds and making sure I win every round along the way.
Well, we are looking forward to this fight. Thank you so much for your time, Dan. Get some rest. I hope you can stay awake all night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely.